I'm not sure of the actual statistics, but I'm sure it's pretty high on the amount of accidents that actually happen because things are hidden behind these A-pillars. Tom Scott did an amazing video on a particular dangerous crossroads in a part of the New Forest in southwest England, and that video really highlights exactly what I'm going to talk about today: the dangers of people being, or cyclists in that scenario, cyclists being behind drivers' blind spots. But first of all, today we're going to be looking at a clip of my viewers which involves an accident, and I think it has a lot to do with being hidden behind these A-pillars. So as usual, I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into this clip. Let's find out whether it was the A-pillars that actually caused the problem. The clip was filmed just outside the M25 south of London, and it seems as though no one had anything to answer for apart from our camera. But a big thanks to them for sending the clip in. Hopefully a lot of people are going to learn from this. The road we're emerging on is a busy one. It's taken that Toyota quite a while to get out. I've paused the clip here because a couple of things are pivotal to how the accident happened. First of all, the black SUV in front of us, and if you look to the left you can see the lights of the vehicle that is struck. Where those lights are, for me, is exactly where the blind spot is behind the left pillar. So it's quite understandable how it's been missed. If the camera now looks right and sees a gap, they've seen nothing that's going to stop them going. You may also be thinking, well, what about the second look to the left? Well, you're spot on. But what if that happened now? Just as the Audi is tucked in behind the SUV. By breaking the clip down in this way, it's easy to see how things can be missed behind the A-pillars. It's a good job it wasn't a cyclist or a motorcyclist. So after seeing this clip, I decided to delve a little deeper to find out exactly how big these areas are behind these A-pillars. So no, I am not going down a coal mine. We're going to have a little look from my perspective on what I can see behind these pillars. Let's start off with the one to the right. Now, if I just sit normally in my seating position, I can't see the silver car. I can see maybe one edge of one side of it and one edge of the other side of it. I have to move to be able to see all of it, one side and the other. What about the other side? Now, as you can see, my camera is virtually stuck on that pillar, and that's what I tend to do, so it doesn't affect my view of my mirror or the other side. But it does highlight, looking this way, how much you actually miss from this pillar also. And what I will add is the mirror creates quite a big blind area as well. Is that just the seating position low in this car? That then the mirror becomes a big problem. It's not so much this side, but it's definitely more this side. So all I can really see, I can't see the edge and the start of that grass over there. I've got to see one side and the other. The head movement this side seems to be a lot more. So I've got my cones. Let's go and see how big these areas are. better. So let's go and take a different view on this now. As we go up with the drone, you're going to be able to see the cones that I've laid out, obviously in orange. I would also like to point out that these areas would be swapped round for a left-hand drive vehicle. But does it actually surprise you on how much of an area those small A-pillars actually block? And as you know, my car isn't the smallest, but look how much of it is actually blocked by the right-hand pillar. And even more so on the left. So as you can see, a large object doesn't have to be far away for it to be hidden. So what type of factors affect these so-called blind areas behind these pillars? Well, obviously, the size of the pillars. Different cars have different size pillars and in different positions, and this affects it greatly. Another thing that does affect it is obviously the driver's seating position. I sit quite far back away from the wheel, and that actually helps a little. I'd like to give a couple examples of what I find when I'm teaching people and students in the car and how their seating position affects what goes on with these A-pillars. You'll get one type of pupil, especially the ones who are really scared, and this isn't just novice drivers as well, this can be full license holders, but you'll get the type who are really scared and they are bolted to the back of this seat. They don't move. And what actually happens then is that this blind area behind this pillar becomes fixed. It never is actually seen because they are stuck, they don't move. Another type of pupil or driver that I find are the ones who wish to sit all the way forward and look at that bonnet area. And what actually happens is they get tucked up behind this pillar. And from then, that blind area is a lot bigger because the closer you get, the wider that area is, and you need more head movement to actually see behind it and see around it. So if you're one of those people who do bonnet lick, as I call it, try and sit back in your seat a little touch more. As long as you can reach all the controls, looking over that bonnet isn't a help, as I've explained in many of the other videos, because by being back here, it gives you an easier view around these pillars and actually reduces a little risk. So what can we do to help reduce risk with the areas behind these pillars? Well, I call it bob and weave. I try and teach my students this, and it's not just side to side movement. I'm going to give you an example in a moment, but what you actually need to do is not just move side to side to see around this pillar, but sometimes, depending on the junction, is move forward and back and side to side, and it's a mixture of all of it. There are other things that you can do to actually reduce risk also, and the main thing is to reduce your speed. People often do junctions at that highest speed they can because, again, they're always in a rush, but then that doesn't allow them enough time to do what we call effective observations. They look, but they don't see properly, and that's then going to cause them to miss maybe the vulnerable road users, the people walking, the cyclists and the motorcyclists who don't have as bigger area to be seen and they're easily missed. So take your time at junctions. At the end of the day, that's the area where if you're going to have an accident and people are going to get hurt, that's where it is. So whenever you're doing junctions, just do them that little bit slower and make sure you do cover all of these areas. So the main time you need to be keeping an eye on what's behind these pillars is when you're doing junctions. So I may very well lean myself forward to get a better view, but now this is blocking, I'm looking this way and I'm doing exactly the same one side and the other to make sure I do cover behind both pillars before emerging. If you're bolted to your seat, that's going to be dangerous. Watch this clip from one of my viewers, and it's the crossroad up ahead and the black SUV that emerges that causes the problem. The angle doesn't help here. But was the driver's view of our camera obscured by that right A-pillar? Here's another clip from one of my viewers, and this time it's the cyclist on the right that's hidden.
Oh my God!
He was hidden behind the right A-pillar. Don't forget to go and check out Tom Scott's video, as I mentioned a little touch earlier on. I think it's Ipley Cross in the New Forest in the southwest of England. And it's a particular dangerous crossroad where a number of cyclists have been killed. And it's down to what we've been talking about blind areas behind these A-pillars. There's an added point to it which I'm not going to spoil. I'd like you to go and check the video out, but I do recommend you going and watching it if you haven't seen it already, because it's an extra point that I think is really important to what we've been talking about today. And last thing, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.